Westbrook's response, Stephen A's point, Westbrook's response allows the fan to be interviewed. Had Russell, there's another reason Russell should not have responded that way. Because now, yeah, you can get the other side of the story when normally you don't show the streaker. I agree. The other thing to consider for Russell Westbrook is when you respond to this guy, you're making him important.
Absolutely.
He's not important. He's nobody.
Absolutely. He's less than nobody, actually.
He's a nobody. He's less than a nobody. He is, if it's true that what he posted on social media, he's less than nobody.
Agreed.
So he's worse than nobody. Let me respond. Well, you can go to security and you can say that man is yelling X, Y, and Z. I'd like him removed.
I agree with that, but I would say this to you, with all due respect, and I know you know this. When you say, listen, he's a nobody, there's a whole bunch of nobodies out there. There's a whole bunch of ignorant nobodies out there. But it doesn't make their words at you time to time less piercing. Let me share a very, very personal story with y'all that happened to me. So we're in San Antonio. In 2005, I believe they're going against the Detroit Pistons. And 2 minutes before I'm to go on SportsCenter, 2 minutes, I found out that there's a death in my family. I'm devastated, but I got to go on the air at that moment. And after I finished the SportsCenter segment, the fans in San Antonio, not all of them because most of them are great, but these particular fans were really, really heckling me in a way where they were saying some very, very vicious things. And I turned around and stuck up my middle finger at them and dropped the F-bomb on them. I've never done that in my career, but consider the moment that I'm in. Okay? Here's the blessing in all of that. They literally said, we got him.
That's the point.
They were like, they got me. And they did. I was fortunate because the great George Bodenheimer, the former boss of this company, was there. Okay? I don't know whether he saw directly what happened, but he was aware of what had transpired just minutes earlier. And he put his arms around me. And I don't even know if he remembers. This is 2005. He puts his arm around me and he says, go on home. Go on home and be with your family. If that had been somebody else or a particular situation, of course, they may not have known it. I mean, that was almost a fireable offense. Right. You understand? And I lost it. Their whole objective was to get at me, to get me to react. What I'm saying is, in the moment, you never know what's going on with somebody. You don't know what.
A large percentage of people in this society, they dwell in a very negative world within their own mind. And once again, the only way for them to even attempt to generate some level of positivity within that world is to release that negativity on other people and hope that they can get a negative response back, because two negatives make a positive. And that's their only way of being able to generate positivity. Sometimes you run into people like that in your workplace. Sometimes you run into them in the street or wherever. But there are a lot of negative people. Maybe it's because of their upbringing or just because of the spirit that the Lord gave them. But they don't know how to create positivity because they were not raised in positivity. The world that's within their mind is not positive, and they're trying to figure out how to release all that negative energy and therefore hope to get a negative response and concoct or generate positivity through the coming together of two negative forces. That's all a troll is. That's all somebody is who is constantly trying to fish for attention. They're just someone who has to release that negative energy before they do something bad to themselves.
What's going on in their mind, even though the proper cautionary position to take is what you articulated.
The best thing for you would be not to have acted, right? The best thing for you would be not to have acted.
That's right. And sometimes, but it's hard.
I have my own stories like that.
So the fans now the fans do have an important place in the game. Okay, the interaction between NBA players and its public is the best in professional sports. This is why you see the entertainment value up. All of the NBA players that are on Forbes list and their social media is high on multiple commercials. Like, the popularity of the game is at an all-time high. But what ends up happening is the public thinks they pay the player's salary.
Absolutely.
And that's not accurate. The owners pay the player's salary. And so when you have that mentality and you come to a game, you think, I paid my ticket. I can do and say as I please. I was leaving MSG, walking off the court, walking through a tunnel. The fan threw a towel straight in my face. I tried to jump up and snatch the fan down, and if it was up to me, I would have broke that fan's neck when he hit the floor. That was my intention. Fortunately for me, it didn't escalate to that point. But also, they are there to egg you on. Like, you are, when you come to a game, it's like you're there to root for somebody or root against somebody. And so there's a line you can cross. You can cheer, you can boo, and there's a smart way, an intelligent way to do it. Then there's name calling, taking it personal, saying things about deaths in your family and things of that nature that go too far. So as a player, to wrap this all up, I don't want to always feel like I need to ask somebody else for help.
That's understandable. I get it. But at the same time, you have to balance out, is it worth losing what you worked your whole life for a piece of shit? I always say this, man. I don't I don't waste time on pieces of shit. Pieces of shit are meant to be flushed. When you sit down on the toilet, some people get up and look down at what's in the commode. Other people just flush before they get up because it ain't even worth looking at.
Hey, security! Hey, every night. You can't do that every night. Like, I can't be
focus on what Max
Correct.
said. Sometimes you got to, because I'm a master at ignoring folks now, because I recognize at that moment what their agenda was and how I was playing into their hands. Yeah. And I know how, because it's the only time in my career that has ever happened.
I have experienced things exactly like that, and worse, to tell you the truth. I'll tell you off camera. I don't even really want to share it publicly. And worse. And I've had to ignore it. And it was very, very, very difficult to ignore.
Right.
But I would have gotten myself in trouble had I not, right? And what I've realized, to your point, is that we are characters. If you're on TV for a living, what comes along with that is you're a character in the imagination of the people who watch you.
No doubt about it. And that's why, not to digress, but that's why I always tell cats, you're not supposed to be a fan. And certain people, even just on YouTube, people get captivated by a person's voice or by their energy or what have you. And you become a character in their mind. That's why I state that in a fan's mind, they don't understand that they seek to control you. It's not so much that they admire you as much as they admire your talent and they want to control it. So that's why I always say that you're never supposed to encourage people to be fans, because really what you're encouraging are people creating a false image of you in their mind. And they're never going to be satisfied with the real person, because the real person is always going to be disparate from the image that they've created in their own mind. So you have to always encourage people to separate infatuation from reality. It's very, very dangerous.
So Russell Westbrook could represent to this guy, if he is a racist guy, whatever, a villain, a heavy, like in professional wrestling. When Shakespearean plays were put on in this country 150 years ago, right? It was popular entertainment. There were people in the crowd who used to want to go up and do physical harm to the actors who portrayed the villains.
I'm sure.
Right, because people were, less sophisticated, but also they occupy this place in the person's imagination as an actual villain. So you, Stephen A. Smith, someone has some idea of you that you're just a character in a drama. You're not a real person.
And that's also because many TV personalities actually play characters on TV, even in quote-unquote reality dynamics like debate shows. Stephen A. Smith plays a character. Shannon Sharpe plays a character on Undisputed. If you've ever seen an interview with Shannon Sharpe off of Undisputed, he does not even speak with the same level of accent that he does on Undisputed, much less when he does a lot of that Uncle Shay stuff, where he tries to exacerbate or heighten the accent and a lot of the tones and inflections that he speaks with, because he's playing a character. Off camera, many of these people are different. They don't understand that when you go along with the character all the time, the viewer assumes that you are the character.
Jalen Rose, Russell Westbrook, and they behave that way.
I appreciate you all sharing your stories, but so what do we think the answer is now? What do we do from here?
I was getting ready to go there. At the end of the day, the NBA is going to have to intervene and to make sure that rules are publicized as it pertains to fan behavior and the ultimate repercussions of your actions.
Absolutely. Simple as that.
Because here's the point, Max, that I want to make sure that we understand about guys like Russell Westbrook and others, particularly when you cross racial lines with racial epithets and things of that nature. You allude to get on your knees like you used to and all of this other stuff. There are some cats in this world that have made a lot of money, and their mentality is it's worth it to do something to you at that particular moment in time. We may not agree with that, but we are not in their position. If you, for example, hypothetically say,
or hell, not even just do something, hire somebody to do something. There's a way to get that fan's name and his address and to find out if he really is about all that shit that he's talking about. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way. If you're a Russell Westbrook and you got all that money and you really that pissed off at what that man said, there's a way to get his contact information and have a couple of dudes tune his ass up. No doubt about it.
Say, you've got $200 million in the bank. You don't give a damn that you might miss out on another $50 million. I want to do something to this. There are people that exist in this world. I've encountered them. There are people that exist in this world. They have a mentality. I am willing to pay that price. And the NBA needs to recognize, not saying that.
Well, look, I made a video about this a while ago about the NBA having a problem with its fans and the players. I did a video about this a while ago around the time that the Kevin Durant as well as the Patrick Beverly situation. And even in the NFL, you have the brother down there that plays with Jacksonville, Leonard Fournette. They're going to have to do something about these fans because, as Stephen A. Smith is saying, there are certain people, they're a certain breed that don't give a fuck about repercussions. They don't care about consequences.
They don't.
And the thing about trolls is that trolls always think everything is a fucking joke.
But they need to recognize, as a reminder, that there are moments where you have cats that get to that level and the fans that agitate them with personal attacks.
So here's where the racial dynamics become sensitive. So in high school, for example, I played in a Detroit public school. Majority black players participating, majority black fans in the stands. When you go to college, majority black players participating, majority white fans in the stands. So now all of a sudden the things that you were hearing in high school said about you on the road are vastly different when you get to college.
And significantly more different.
That's a tremendous point.
More different when you get to the pro.
Correct, because there's money involved now. And now that institutes classism as well. And so when you hear a lot of these buzz terms being thrown around, you can either ignore it or you can acknowledge it. Now, acknowledging it doesn't mean necessarily to handle it like Russell did, but it's important always not to ignore it. I can't front, because a lot of times if you ignore it, you're making that person think it's okay.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go do that to somebody else, and then they're going to get their block knocked off. And so it's important to check that behavior if and when you can. And I can't be in every arena on a nightly basis trying to average a triple-double, but tattletelling to the security. Hey, you see this person up there? They messing with me.
I don't think, like, it doesn't rise to this level.
You tried to get into it before I couldn't finish it. What was your suggestion of what they should do?
But Max, that's my point. So remember, the security hears what you hear. That's the only reason why they're there. I'm there to play, and I hear it. They're there to be security. So therefore, when they hear it, they have to react. Don't give the person a red card, because guess what? You get the red card, next time you get the red card, next time you get the red card, the game's over. But now if they come and eject you, it sends a message to everyone.
So basically you're talking about the NBA empowering security to locate individuals, since they're in earshot, they're right there with the players and they hear everything. But you're advocating the NBA empower security to have the ability to point out the misbehavior of a fan and to have them removed from
Absolutely. And this might be, at least if Russell Westbrook is thinking, this could be the platform that he can use to add another dynamic to his career. For example, Floyd Mayweather, not only is he an all-time great boxing champion, but he's also the athlete who pretty much revolutionized standardized drug testing for athletes. LeBron James is the athlete who showed many of his NBA compatriots that they should not be concerned about loyalty to a fan base or to a city, that they should go out there and make the most money that they can make and go wherever they're happy when they become a free agent. Russell Westbrook might be that person who transforms the energy between the fans and the players. If he's smart, he'll take advantage of this and make this his platform.
Arena immediately.
Max, what do you want to happen? Because you didn't get to say it.
Well, I would say that I think that's a very good solution. If security hears a racist insult or a physical threat or something at that level, they should remove the fan immediately. And while I can understand where Russell Westbrook was coming from, not threatening the fan or a female fan in particular, had he handled it better, this would all be about the fans' misbehavior and not about Russell Westbrook right now.
When you say handle it better, you mean not cursing?
Not threatening physically.
Not physically threatened. So that's so just another distinction. So that's not just for the woman. That's for the man as well.
But particularly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Jalen Rose. I've made this point in the past. It's so amazing to me when people try to make this distinction between physically harming a man as opposed to threatening to physically harm a woman. I thought that since everybody's a human being, that you should not threaten to physically harm anyone, unless you're saying that a woman's life is worth more than a man's life.
Particularly for the woman.
But no, it can't. No, if he shouldn't threaten, he shouldn't threaten her. He shouldn't threaten him either.
Absolutely.
Correct. But yes, correct. But I think he would have a little more sympathy today had he not included the woman.
He didn't include the wife as well. All right. Well, that was a great discussion. Thank you, guys. Jalen, appreciate you.
Yes, that was a very good discussion. I have to give them credit. They did a good job with this. So hopefully Russell Westbrook will learn from this. And the learning is not to take shit from people, but to utilize the mechanisms that are around you, understand your value and your worth, how hard you've worked and what you mean to your family, and not lower yourself for